Think of the passion, God love everlasting. Keep the law of the land and book in case you're asking. Moving forward to the learning and it's free, cause I know that. Think of the passion, God love everlasting. Keep the law of the land and book in case you're asking. Moving forward to the learning and it's free, cause I know that God know the Convo. Go with Sister E, love talk Sister E, God work Sister E, charity Sister E, let's talk with Sister E. All different type of information every week. Let me speak, if you subscribe we going deep. Love talk Sister E, God's work Sister E, charity Sister E, let's talk with Sister E.
Shalom family, it's your brother Benaiah Ben Israel, and I would like to invite you to join us in historic Savannah, Georgia, one of the first places inhabited by the Israelites of Spain and Portugal. On June the 27th through the 29th, the African Israelite Justice Foundation will host a conference which will include, but not limited to, historic Savannah tours, a visit to First African Baptist Church, Truth Music Concert, and the conference event. Don't miss this opportunity to learn more about your history and culture and how to survive in the daughter of Babylon. You don't want to miss this historic event, family. So mark your calendars and sign up today. Hope to see you in Savannah, Georgia on June the 27th through the 29th for yet another Israelite gathering. And with that, family, I hope to see you soon, and I bid you shalom.
Hello, good people. How are y'all doing? Come on in the room. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. My comment just erases the E, but I just know you do have support. My comment just erases it, but just know you do have support. I don't know who erased your comment. Yak Waba. I don't know what comment you're talking about. Provide a little bit more details, but thank you for supporting me. I've been hearing people been deleting people. Y'all don't do that. Delete their comment. Wait to give them a chance, as long as they ain't cussing. So what's going on, family? What's going on, good family? I already got sleepy saints, but I'm gonna do this live because there's so much going on, y'all. This India and Pakistan thing. The difference in India and Pakistan, and as far as the difference with them as in other wars, their biggest. That's crazy. YouTube doing the most. I think that's a censorship thing they doing. They consider India and Pakistan to be nuclear war power leaders rather, and they're concerned that this war is going to escalate quickly, which I think it's already escalated. I just don't think it's got to the point of the nuclear warheads. But this is finna get real interesting, y'all. It's gonna get real interesting. I was talking to some people about this. I said one thing about India is a lot of work is being driven to India. And a lot of help desk, customer service, all that IT shops are in India. I said, what are these corporations gonna do if India gets in the middle of a nuclear war? A lot of major companies have hold on one second. Yeah, a lot of major companies work at have satellite offices in India. And he said, yes, I just said he hey well good. You can read it now. I'm just listening now. Okay. Okay, so cool. But yeah, it's interesting that these um these nuclear wars, hold on one second, y'all. This nuclear war can lead to something. It can lead to some, like I said, a lot of major IT firms, a lot of major companies, customer service firms, they work out of India. So if this gets bad, I wonder what these companies are going to do. What these companies are going to do. I know some companies have started creating contingency plans, business continuity plans, due to this concern. If y'all know anything about IT, they have something called business continuity, which is tied to the continuance of business. They also refer to certain aspects of it called disaster recovery. But when you're dealing with like satellite offices, they lean more how to continue with their business. So if it means that this team takes over if this one goes down. So I've heard some companies starting to build um I'll be quiet, hot sauce since I told you. But I'm just joking. But some companies are trying to build continuity plans, how to continue business if, let's say, like I said, India is in the middle of a nuclear war. Because a lot of companies have moved quite a bit of work to India. Quite, and I thought about that. I said, oh my gosh, a lot of these companies, I wonder what they're doing right now. Because the current concern is Pakistan dropping them nukes on India. And I know a couple of people that work out in India, and I've heard about some of them being concerned. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Hold on, y'all. Let me play something for y'all. I don't know why I'm yarning right now, y'all. I need to take some allergy medicine because my allergies are really wearing me out right now. So let's see. I have a video I want to show y'all about this whole ordeal. It's gonna be interesting. War again. I tell people war is inevitable. It's gonna happen, but I see it as again world war, not just us. It's gonna be other people fighting with each other. So let's see. Here we go. Here we go. So let me do my disclaimer. Let's see. Oh, y'all, I'm gonna really sleep for the Shabbat. I am going to sleep. Normally, I'm gonna wake straight up at 9 o'clock. It never fails. So, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, new reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use. So the information I'm giving is going to be for education and research purposes only. All right, let me share your screen. Fair use, fair use.
Welcome to The Brief. I'm Jim Sciutto in New York. We begin early today with breaking news. India launching a military operation targeting what it calls terrorist infrastructure inside Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Those the sounds of explosions during those strikes. India says it struck 9 targets, adding that none of them are Pakistani military facilities. Pakistani military spokesperson says the country will respond to those attacks, adding that at least 3 people have been killed in the Indian strikes. This comes after gunmen killed 26 people in Indian-administered Kashmir last month. India blamed Pakistan for those attacks. Nick Robertson is live now in Islamabad, and it's worth reminding our viewers that these are 2 nuclear-armed nations that have fired at each other before. Tell us what the situation is now and concerns about escalation now.
There's a real concern about escalation. Pakistan vowed that if India attacked, that they would respond. That was part of their military doctrine. They believe, and I've been speaking over the past few days with very senior security officials here, and they believe that this incident inside Indian-controlled Kashmir, where 26 civilians were killed, that India blamed on Pakistan, that Pakistan denied. They believe that this had now cut the relations with India, had now come to a defining moment where Pakistan needs to take a definitive stand, because India has threatened to cut off water supplies coming down 3 major rivers. Vital, existential security officials describe the water from those rivers. So this is a sort of context to why that this is at a moment of extreme potential escalation. Pakistani security officials are saying that they are right now, their air force right now is in the throes of delivering what they describe as a crushing India as a response for this strike.
Hey, is the sound clear on here? Y'all let me know if the sound is not clear. Let me know. But that's my alarm telling me go to bed. That's what y'all hear right now. And I'm gonna ignore it like I should not ignore it. Like I really don't need to be up all night. But it was good until we started doing it live. And I was like, why did I get it's choppy? Okay. All right, I'm finna come out and I'm gonna come back in. I'll be back. Okay, was the video skipping or was it me skipping? I'm gonna try the video again. Play the video again. No telling what YouTube is doing to me, but we're gonna continue on. Go to history, go back to the video. Fair use, fair use.
Pakistani officials over the past few days, they've said that if India's retaliatory strike, which they thought was coming, they said if it just came in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, that would be something that would be more easily tolerable than striking Pakistan proper. or if you will. At least two of the strikes we understand this evening, and we're getting these early details, are in Pakistan proper. This tells me, from what the officials have been speaking about, that this will demand from the Pakistani side a much higher level of response. Again, this speaks to the potential for escalation. How does India respond to this? One of those strikes in Murad K inside Pakistan proper was literally just about 20 miles from the border with India. So for their fighter jets, if that's what it was, to come over and strike, that was a relatively easy operation. However, these strikes have been on the audible, if you will, outskirts of Islamabad. Our cameraman here with me, Javid, his house is about an hour from where we are in the center of Islamabad. His house shook. There were two loud explosions, he said, and his house shook from those explosions. So that gives you an idea how close some of the strikes have been to Islamabad, perhaps about 50, 60, 70 kilometers away.
That's frustrating because for some reason I've been having a hard time today with StreamYard. Let me try something else one more time, y'all. I'll be right back. You know what? I am going to do that. Let me download the video because that might be. Let me try one more thing, y'all, and then we can go another route. I believe there's something going on with YouTube as well because they be slick with it, and I know they be slick with it. Hold on.
Of Lahore, the sort of very outer reaches of that. So again, these are very strong signals, if you will, that the Indian military is sending to the. Again, it speaks to the potential for escalation. We have to wait and see what Pakistan's response is. What it's been, they describe it as crushing. We don't have details yet, and therefore what India may do after that. Jim?
Nick, I wonder, given that India's strikes, and this is notable to your point, struck both inside Pakistan-controlled Kashmir and inside Pakistan proper, is it reasonable to expect that crushing blow, as Pakistani officials are describing it, might do the same in kind? That is, strike inside Indian-administered Kashmir, but also perhaps inside India itself.
I think there's a genuine potential for that. And the military here have released pictures of some of the victims of the overnight attack from India. And the first assessment of the Pakistani military here is that they only have civilian casualties. And some of the released show women and children blooded and inside a hospital. So again, that the fact that women and children have been injured beyond military age males is going to, if you will, ratchet up the potential for response. Now, Pakistan's military is describing the casualties that they've seen so far as civilian casualties. It's unclear to me whether Pakistan would strike back at military. They would strike back beyond that. If they strike back at military targets, there's a potential that escalation doesn't get out of hand. But this is, the tensions have been hugely high. The Pakistani security officials believe this is an existential moment. The fact that the water to the country that powers a lot of the electricity generation here, that's absolutely vital. It's vital for agriculture. They feel that as an existential.
I'm gonna pause right here for a second. And you know what Hassan just said? He and a couple of people said it. Well, Hassan said he said India or Iran. A lot of us were saying Iran, and then I think I was on this last live was when they said India had yeah, it was the last live. India had hit Pakistan with ballistic missiles. And I sat there and I said, "Oh, this can get bad," because both powers got nuclear weapons. Both of them, both nations. Yep, they both got nuclear weapons. This can get bad quickly, very quickly. And if it does escalate, expect war is coming. It's going to take one of these incidents, somebody to pop off. It's like everybody, it's like little, tell me what y'all think. It's like little pop offs here and there and here and there. Maybe pop off here, maybe pop off there, pop off a little here, pop off there. But nobody is popping off. And it's like little pop ups. It's almost like, y'all know that game we used to play at Chuck E. Cheese, or we used to call Showbiz as a kid, with the groundhog sticking his head up and you hitting him with the little mallet, and every time one hit, another head pop up. That's what's going on. It's like once they hit one and get one subdued and under control, another head pops up, then another head pop up, and it's just like little groundhogs just popping up left and right. Y'all remember that game? Whack-a-mole. That's it. It's like whack-a-mole right now. It's like you're fighting to keep. It's like they're trying to get them to chill, but it's like whack-a-mole. Like they just like, okay, Houthi and Israel, bam, get back in that hole. Then next thing you know, India and Pakistan, like, oh, get back in that hole. Now, if China fights with Taiwan, we got problems. There's problems if China pops off with anybody. Then not to mention Iran and already making threats that they're looking at Israel and the US. So it's like, wait a minute. It's just like everybody is like trying to pop off, but they're trying to get everybody to chill out. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think the powers that be want a nuclear war. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they want one. Have y'all heard about one of Bush's aides talking about a $22 trillion bunker? Have y'all heard about that? I heard about that on TikTok. And I said, oh, here we go with the bunkers. They already got the bunkers. But the word of God says that they're going to be underground and they're going to be asking for the rocks to fall on them. It's going to be so much going on, I think. And I may be telling that scripture wrong. But yeah, they're going to be, yeah. But let's keep going.
Issue, and therefore their response was going to be accordingly strong from that perspective. It's very unclear to me where it will go from here, but the language has been very, very clear. If you track it, and I've been coming here for about, over 25 years. I first came here when Pakistan and India were fighting another one of their major skirmishes, which killed thousands of troops high in the Himalaya mountains inside of Kashmir, the Kargil battle that lasted several months. The language has become much harder and tougher in Pakistan from the military since then. This is an army, remember, that's been fighting an insurgency on their western border that has actually become increasingly ferocious as the security situation in Afghanistan has deteriorated, and Islamist militants have used Afghanistan as a base and attacked into Pakistan with ferocity. That the army here over the past couple of decades has become tougher and stronger militarily in their ethos, in their outlook, and one can even say in their leadership. So,
okay, y'all, I just realized it is something going on with your comment. I can't see a thing. I see you here. Which channel are you on? Are you on my other channel? Hold on. You might be on my other channel. Let me just double check, because you might be on my Sister E back back room. The reason I can't see you here. Hold on. Is that it? You might be on my sister. Okay, yeah, you're on my back, my other channel. Okay, I got concern. I see you on the other channel. Some people are talking on the main channel. For those who are not aware, some people are talking on the main channel. Some people are talking on the back room channel. So y'all might not see some of my comments in certain areas. So that's why I can't see your comment on my main channel. So, all right, I got a little confused. I was like, wait, hold on, is somebody deleting somebody? So no, nobody's being deleted. Okay, you're good. Let's keep going, y'all.
Very strong military from the Pakistan's perspective, but also from the way their leadership evaluates the battle space and relation with neighbors. It's quite, in military terms, it's a tough leadership right now.
And Nick, drawing on your experience of previous high points in tensions, just personally, I remember being in India and Pakistan some 20 years ago in the 2000s when there was concern that there might be an escalation even to a nuclear exchange. Granted, just concern, and of course that didn't come to be. But place this current standoff in recent historical context in terms of how severe the tensions are today.
To give it try to give it a simple context here. You have a tougher and, if you will, more forward-leaning military. You have a military that, in the estimation of most Pakistani civilians, has a big influence in the running of the country. So there's that perspective. It's a tougher, more forward-leaning, more robust outlook, and national security decisions would reflect that. That this tension has been growing, as you say, it's unresolved for 75 years since the dispute over Kashmir left unresolved in 1947 after the British Empire basically divided India into two countries, Pakistan and India. Pakistan, of course, Muslim majority, India, Hindu majority. They fought three major wars in the intervening period. 71 was one of the biggest, and various skirmishes as recently as 2019 and more subsequently. But in the outlook of where the situation is, it is the fact that India has decided to shut off water from these three major rivers that feed Pakistan's agriculture, therefore economy, therefore to more than 200 million population, and power generation, which is vital, particularly in the summer when it gets extremely hot. It's needed for air conditionings, running industry. So these are existential issues for Pakistan at the moment, and that's, I think, that will underpin the thinking and has been expressed.
Wait, I didn't know that India shut off their water supply. Oh yeah, they finna cut up. Did he say that? Oh, if he said that and he's correct, oh, they finna cut the heck up. Pakistan finna show they whole self. They finna show up. They finna show up and show out. If they really did he say that they cut the water supply off? Oh wow. And it's getting hot. Oh wow. It's about to go down. They finna cut up. They finna turn it every which way but loose. I didn't know that. Oh my goodness. Let me keep playing.
Expressed to me by very senior security officials here that the water issue is key. And I think, just to give a little bit of additional background, this is something that was being litigated in courts in recent months, and the Pakistani perception is that India had been looking for a legal way to abrogate the terms of that Indus Water Treaty signed in 1960, had been looking for a legal way to do that in recent months, and had taken this particular killing of 26 civilians as a rationale and reason to immediately jump to that position. So this is something that Pakistan has seen coming, and therefore they believe that this is not just a sudden decision by India, it's something they're pushing for.
Brewing for some time. Nick Robertson, thanks so much.
Y'all, this ain't gonna be pretty. If they didn't shut them folks' water supply off, yeah, they finna cut up. They finna cut up. So let's see what how's Pakistan is responding. I saw something. Now keep in mind this report I just showed y'all came out 11 hours ago. So this is recent. It ain't like a couple of days ago. This was 11 hours ago. So let's look at something. Oh, this is interesting. So here's the vow. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I haven't either. I haven't heard anything either. Hold on one second, y'all. I haven't heard anything either, but I think they're trying to keep this quiet. And I think it's so much going on, they don't want to talk about it. So let's hear what Pakistan is saying.
Pakistan's Prime Minister said it would respond to any acts of aggression.
We pledge that the blood of every fallen martyr will be avenged. The coward enemy targeted innocent civilians and showed themselves as mighty and brave. But last night, by Almighty's grace, we gave them a befitting response in our own way to the enemy.
Hassan Khan is a security and political analyst. He joins us now from Islamabad with much more on this story. As we enter another day and tensions, as we've been hearing, are rising even further, how do you assess things as they stand right now?
Thank you very much. I think the tension is not easing since the day Pahalgam attack happened on the 22nd of April. Even today, you might knew it that Pakistan has closed its major airports like the Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore, and Sialkot airports for any flight operations. Yesterday, Indian have closed almost 16 of their airports, most of them close to the border areas in the Pakistani range and even away from it. So, I mean, the tension is rising, and I think Indian and Pakistani knew it. Then now it is the Pakistan's turn to respond. Yesterday, the National Parliament met, and before that, the National Security Committee of the cabinet they had a detailed deliberation on how to respond to the Indian illegal provocation, and they have targeted civilian areas, both in the disputed territory and the rest of Pakistan, especially Bahawalpur and Murid. So Pakistan is now, I think, right at the moment. Indian also knew it that Pakistan will respond, and the people of Pakistan are expecting their military that the response must be harder than the one which the Indian have committed.
Well, what does that look like? How are they going to respond, do you think?
I think Pakistan, as the Indian did, Pakistan is not like in the same way. Pakistan will not cross the international border, neither it will cross the line of control. Pakistan has the missiles, weapons capability to hit any of the site across the India. And second, Pakistan has decided that Pakistan will not hit the civilian installation. Pakistan will most likely hit around 10 to 20 the military installations, most probably their airports or their air bases. So that will be the response. But it will, Pakistan's fighter planes will not cross the international border as India have done. They have sent their missiles from across the border. So Pakistan will do the same, but the response will be harder, and it will be, I think, more than which the Indian has done yesterday.
Is that what the Pakistani public actually want? And can you just talk us through the relationship between the public there and the military? Because there have been accusations in the past of political interference.
I think Pakistan's, the National Parliament yesterday, it was unanimous. Before me, your correspondent Kamal Haider has elaborated that the National Parliament across the political divide, whether it was the oppositions or the government parties, and even across Pakistan, the peoples are taking out rallies, asking the military to respond, and they are expecting their military to respond. So I think Pakistan's military is under severe pressure. On one side, the National Security Committee authorized them to take a decision to respond to the Indian aggression, to respond to the illegal aggression provocation of India, the way in the time of its own choosing. In the same way, across Pakistan, whether it is in Karachi, Lahore, Peshawar, yesterday there were a lot of rallies. People were taking out in support of the military, and they were expecting the military to respond to this Indian aggression. The reason is the people of Pakistan and the government of Pakistan believe that if the response was not harder than the one done by the attack by the Indian, so it will become a new normal for India. Whenever there is an attack in India, whenever there is a terrorist act in India, they will accuse Pakistan without investigations and just launch such like a attack. So I think that.
I just want to jump in because we've only got a minute or so left. I mean, obviously, both of these countries are nuclear armed states. Exactly what is at stake here if things escalate too far? I mean, how are things going to calm down? Who's going to step in here, maybe from the international community, and try and get both sides to step back at this point in time?
I think, the international community is already engaged. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, the Iranian foreign minister was in Pakistan, and today the Saudi Arabian foreign minister is in India. But I think the provocations, the illegal provocations done by India, committed by the Indian military, they have targeted the civilian. 31 of innocent civilians, including kids, women, and elderly people have been killed without any investigation. They just blame Pakistan, and then they hit imagined terrorist sites, which they imagine. They come up with a false narrative. They imagine that there are terrorist camps in the area, then they hit that 31 innocent civilians have been killed. So I think the calm down will be only done once Pakistan responds to it. And the people of Pakistan will only, I think, accept their military, and they will only, I think, will be satisfied from the current government if it responded. And they definitely it will respond because the pressure is there. And I believe that as happened in 2019, once Pakistan respond, then all the things will go and it will calm down.
Very much for your thoughts and analysis, Hassan Khan, security and political analyst. Monday.
Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalism at democracynow.org/give. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip have killed at least 100 people over the past 24 hours as bombs, missiles, and drones struck homes, businesses.
Yeah, this you see right here, Israel still fighting. Man, so you got that. You have India and Pakistan. You have stuff that's going on over here with China. Then you got Russia beefing with the US and beefing with other countries. Everybody beefing, but the Negro. Black Americans like, I'm not in this new. I'm not in it. We the only ones ain't beefing. We the ones stand out the fight. We chilling over here. But everybody else is fighting, and they fighting down. They're trying to provoke us. Now, I noticed that. I said, it feel like they trying to provoke us. But we tired. So we go ahead and do what you're going to do. So with that, it's gonna be interesting. Like it's gonna, the way things are playing out. Everybody's just ready to go off. Nobody has any restraint right now. Sorry, y'all, I had to deal with Rio. But let's go look at some other stuff. And then I know people don't want to hear this, but y'all, somebody got to bring it to y'all. Because, I mean, I just got a strange feeling. Someday soon, I'm going to be on here talking about somebody that popped off a nuclear weapon. It just feels like we getting there. I'm just like, I feel like I'm finna be saying this soon. Like, I feel like I'm gonna be online talking about this. And I don't think the first one gonna pop off here. I really don't. I think it's gonna be somewhere else. But I mean, it's like anything goes this year. Nothing will shock us. It'll get to that point. It's gonna get to that point where nothing will shock us. Hold on. But this is all over the world. We seeing these things. Hold on, y'all. I got another video. I have allergies, y'all. Pray for me, because these allergies is wearing me out, honey. Let me see. Oh yeah, I can't forget about Ukraine. Ukraine, no, they too busy crying for more money. So Russia and Ukraine. Yeah. So let's look at one more thing dealing with India and Pakistan. Pakistan's prime minister vows decisive action after deadly strike on India. After deadly strikes from India. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, y'all.
In Pakistan and India, as fear mounts over the possibility of an all-out conflict between the neighboring nations, each with its own nuclear weapons. India launched strikes deep within Pakistan overnight, saying that they were targeting terrorists. Pakistan's prime minister described the Indian strikes as an act of war. Pakistani leaders say at least 31 people have been killed. They also claim Pakistani armed forces blew Indian jets to, quote, smithereens. India has not confirmed whether any of its planes were shot down, although French intelligence confirms at least one was shot down. Indian officials say Pakistan's military killed 12 people in the India-controlled part of Kashmir as artillery barrages continued throughout the day along the de facto border, the very same place that sparked this latest conflict. So how did we get here? Well, 2 weeks ago, 26 people, mostly tourists, were massacred in a scenic area of India-controlled Kashmir. The little-known group called Kashmir Resistance, also known as the Resistance Front, claimed responsibility for the attack on social media, but it has reportedly since walked it back. The group is an offshoot of the Islamist terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba, which was responsible for the infamous 2008 massacre in Mumbai. Now, Pakistan has denied that India's accusation is true, that it supported, quote, cross-border terrorism in last month's attack. But for more context, let's look at the map. Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan each control parts of Kashmir, but both claim the region in its entirety. And they fought 3 bloody wars over the Himalayan territory. The complicated history of this region dates back 80 years, when India and Pakistan gained independence from the UK in 1947. At the time, the leader of Kashmir decided to remain independent. And Kashmir is now one of the most militarized places in the entire world. China, for its part, has found itself in a diplomatic tight spot too. China also controls a portion of Kashmir, that spot on the map shaded in blue. And China is a close ally of Pakistan, providing a majority of Pakistan's weapons. All of this comes as China is also trying to shore up diplomatic ties with India. amid a broader pressure from the Trump administration on trade. This afternoon, President Trump weighed in on this conflict. Take a listen.
We get along with both countries very well, good relationships with both, and I want to see it stop. And if I can do anything to help, I will be there.
Meanwhile, across India today, hundreds of emergency drills took on a more urgent tone. School children practiced hiding under their desks as sirens wailed. Preparation, many hope, is reserved for the worst case scenario and will never be necessary.
Pakistan is vowing revenge after India launched a series of airstrikes, claiming it was targeting terrorist infrastructure. India says the assault was in response to last month's deadly shooting rampage inside the disputed border region of Kashmir. Dozens of mostly Indian tourists were killed in that attack. Pakistan has denied any involvement. Fears, though, are mounting that today's attack could severely escalate tensions. This afternoon, Pakistan's prime minister said India made a terrible mistake and went on to say they, quote, now have to pay the price. World leaders have been urging both sides to de-escalate. Joining me now to discuss, Leon Panetta. He's former defense secretary, of course, former CIA director as well, under President Obama. Always good to have you with us as we walk through this. What I think is on a lot of people's minds is the fact that both India and Pakistan do have nuclear capabilities. What is your level of concern that either would turn to those?
Well, it obviously is a concern because they are nuclear-powered countries, and you never know how this thing could escalate. There have always been tensions between India and Pakistan. They go back to 1947 when India was partitioned into India and Pakistan. There have been several wars that we've seen take place in the interim. I don't think either Pakistan or India wants to go into a full-fledged war. But when you're in a game of tit for tat, and there's no question now that Pakistan will probably respond to what India did, there is truly the danger of escalation here, and that should concern everybody in the world.
As we look at this, President Trump has called this escalating conflict, in his words, a shame. He said he just hopes that it ends very quickly. Just remind us what the role of the U.S. has been, right, when it comes to this sort of long festering conflict and concerns over this region of Kashmir, and also whether you see any circumstance under which America would intervene in any way.
Well, the United States has played a role in that part of the world. When I was director of the CIA, there were tensions that were rising between Pakistan and India, and the United States took steps to try to get both countries to be able to back off, because we do think that area of the world is important. And so the United States should be providing some kind of mediation. China has also called for both countries to back off. Qatar actually could also be helpful as well. I think that those countries, and the United States in particular, have to play a role here, because both Pakistan and India would respond if the United States got involved and said, you've got to stop, you've got to be able to back off of the kind of escalation that could lead to war in that region.
Do you think there is an appetite for that? And also, is there the bandwidth, given what we see, right, in terms of the number of global issues, if you will, that this administration is dealing with, under a president, too, who has made it clear that he wants to back off some of that global involvement and truly fulfill his vision of America first?
Well, that's a very fundamental question about whether or not the role of the United States is going to continue to be a world leader, or whether we're basically going to withdraw. The problem is in withdrawing, these dangers to our security are not going to disappear. And we are living at a dangerous time. We've got a war in Gaza. We've got a war in Ukraine. We've got conflicts both with Russia and China. We've got to worry about North Korea. We've got to worry about Iran. So there are a lot of areas of conflict in the world. I don't think the United States can run and hide from those conflicts. We have got to exercise some leadership, frankly, working with our allies to try to make sure that we can try to preserve the peace that the whole world needs as a result of these kinds of tensions. So my hope is that the United States will not back away. This is not a pretty please situation. This is a situation where you got to roll up your sleeves and actually engage with both India and Pakistan if you're going to be able to control these rising tensions.
Mr. Secretary, always appreciate your time and your insight. Thank you.
No.
Y'all, that's all I gotta say. Just get your minds right. Get your minds right. Get your minds right. I got another one I want to show y'all. Here it is. Hold on. I'm trying to find my video. So with that being said, it is an issue and a concern. So let's go back to our end of the pond. So there's an issue, y'all. Let's get on our side. What allies? Ain't nobody friends with this country. They've been pissing everybody off. There's a race of who? They've been pissing everybody off. Ain't nobody allies with them. So with that being said, moving to the next one. Airplanes falling out the sky, y'all, or not falling. They're trying to keep these airplanes from falling out of the sky. It's getting ridiculous. Hold on. Madison had to fly to Memphis. My nurse was shot until she got to me. Hold on. Here we go. It says widespread delays in controllers. So they haven't. Well, I'll play this for y'all. I'm gonna start it.
Airport in New Jersey were, quote, traumatized after equipment failures cut off communication with planes 2 weeks ago. And now 5 controllers are out on paid leave. And customers at Newark are dealing with another week of disastrous delays. CNN's Bryn Gingras is on the ground at Newark Liberty International Airport. And CNN's Pete Montine is here with the latest. Pete, let me start with you. You've been on top of the story all day. Tell us exactly what you've learned about why exactly these delays are happening and what in the hell is going on at Newark.
Well, the FAA is now essentially confirming our reporting that really paints the best picture yet of why these delays have persisted for days. A source familiar with an incident last Monday tells me that this all goes back to a period of time when controllers in the facility responsible for flights arriving and departing from Newark Liberty International Airport lost radio communications and their radar systems for an undisclosed time last Monday. That led to 5 air traffic controllers in that radar facility to take what's called trauma leave. They are now on leave for the next 45 days, something they're legally entitled to do. I want you to listen now to the new audio we just got from liveatc.net, and I want you to hear the frustration of the air traffic controller in this Newark facility that controls flights going in and out of Newark. And he's telling a smaller plane, a general aviation plane, that he does not have the ability to see that plane on radar and to essentially go away. Listen.
We lost our radar and it's not working correctly. Radar service terminates, squawk VFR, frequency change approved. If you want a Bravo clearance, you can just call the towers when you get closer.
Okay, I'll wait for that frequency from you, okay?
Okay, no, just squawk VFR, look up the tower frequencies, and we don't have a radar, so I don't know where you are.
We also heard today from Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer, who says while the FAA has been investigating its own incident here, the Department of Transportation Office of Inspector General now has to launch a probe immediately, he says. He also points back to a move by the FAA last July in which it moved the facility responsible for Newark airspace from Long Island to Philadelphia. The whole idea there was to shore up staffing shortages. Schumer says this, in essence, backfired. There are some pretty big questions here that people are asking about. Why can't controllers be drag and dropped essentially from one place to another? These are location-specific jobs. It's not that easy. The FAA is not really detailing a fix in the near term right now, Jake.
And Bryn, another day of major delays at Newark International Airport. What are you hearing from customers?
Yeah, Jake, let's put it this way. If you have a flight in or out of Newark that hasn't been delayed or canceled, go outside, buy a lottery ticket right now, because that's all we're seeing on the boards. As you look at the Terminal A departures, we're in Terminal B. Now, Terminal A here at Newark typically has those domestic flights, but you can see delayed, delayed, delayed. It gets even worse when the screen changes. Terminal B, where we are, like I said, a lot of international flights, but again, some of it is open for check-in hours early, but it really is not a big surprise if you actually see that check-in too delayed. It's very rare to see a flight take off at Newark. It is that bad, and we are now into the 8th day of these disruptions for travelers, and people are at their wits' end. Actually, someone just walked by us and says, I'm going to kill somebody. They're so angry. That's what we're seeing, is anger and a lot of frustration. Take a listen to one traveler.
Now I have to kind of request time off, which sometimes that can turn into penalties for me because it's last minute. And I'm an hourly worker, so I don't get benefits. So I can't even kind of like compensate that lost time. Like, oh, I can just use my sick hours. I don't have the luxury of doing so.
Yeah, it really is the perfect storm here at Newark. We are actually having low cloud cover here at the airport. It's those issues that Pete was just describing to you. It's the fact that there's a runway actually closed here at Newark for renovations. And then it's just the antiquated system that this airline, these airports are running on. It's a big issue, and it's really just trickling down to these travelers who have, quite frankly, had enough. Jake.
The union representing air traffic controllers is speaking out about the critical staffing shortage that's causing major problems at Newark Liberty International Airport. For the 8th straight day, hundreds of flights have been canceled or delayed.
There's a lot of delays and cancellations. And now the union and a separate CNN source familiar with the situation say it is, in part, get this, because several air traffic controllers had to take a leave of absence last month after equipment problems cut off communication with the planes and left them traumatized. CNN aviation correspondent Pete Montine joins us now. I mean, I read that earlier, Pete, and I thought, how bad did it have to be that they are at the point where they are too traumatized to come to work? This is awful and scary.
These new developments really paint the best picture yet of why we've had these 8 days of delays for flights going into and out of Newark. Here is the latest. This all goes back to an incident last Monday at the key radar facility responsible for flights departing and approaching Newark. And a source familiar with that incident tells me that controllers there lost both radio communications and the picture on their radar scopes for an undisclosed time, meaning those controllers were essentially trying to do their jobs blind. They call it NORDO, no radio, which led to at least 5 controllers taking what's called trauma leave, which they're legally allowed to do. They're now off for the next 45 days. This is a huge development. And we know that the FAA has been investigating the cause of the equipment outage that triggered these staffing shortages. Just last week, the FAA acting chief told me a team has been on the ground to figure out the nature of that equipment problem. But now Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer is calling for the Department of Transportation Inspector General to launch a probe immediately. This is what he said about the outage at that Newark radar facility. He says the equipment there is aging and it must be fixed yesterday. Listen.
Y'all, this finna be interesting. This finna be interesting. Ooh, this finna be interesting. That's all I got to say. I got one more to show y'all, and I'm finna cut out and go to bed. I might, if I'm rested tomorrow, I might hop on and do a little bit more. A new one right here. They all have they talk about radio failures. Y'all, right now it ain't safe out here. for a pimp. I'm just joking. So you got that going on. Then you got I gotta check this out. They talking about Egyptian pilot air. Now somebody brought up Egypt, but let's see. Let me see. Oh, y'all, I done got sleepy quick. I don't know how I got sleepy that quick. Hold on. Here it is. I got one more report and then I'm down for the count.
Into the Situation Room, air traffic controllers for Newark Liberty International Airport experienced another outage earlier this morning. It's the latest in a series of very troubling technical problems that have plagued the airport in recent days.
I want to bring in CNN aviation correspondent Pete Muntean. What's going on, Pete?
Well, this is the latest in the string of these meltdowns that they've had at the Newark Terminal Radar Approach Control Facility. That controls the flights going in and out of Newark, flights descending and ascending after leaving Newark. This is really critical. And we know from one source that the systems went down there. The radar system went down at about 3:55 a.m. local time today. This is just one more in this series. We know also from another source that they lost radar and radio coverage, which is very similar to the April 28th meltdown that we were reporting on so much 11 days ago, that caused controllers there to essentially have to control planes blind and not able to know where they are and not able to communicate with them via radio. So this is really significant. That most recent incident after this one just last night was the first in a string that really sort of brought this to light. We know that there was an incident back on November 6th when controllers had something similar happen. In fact, in that case, they had a FedEx flight that they were giving instructions to turn onto the final approach into Newark. For some reason, they could not communicate with them. Another meltdown there, and that plane ended up flying essentially straight through the final approach and into the airspace over LaGuardia, which is extremely dangerous. They said it was a miracle by the grace of God that there wasn't a midair collision in that case. This also comes on the heels one day after Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy just announced a sweeping multi-billion-dollar overhaul of the air traffic control system. This could be $30 billion done in 3 to 4 years, he says. It's a very aggressive, bold, and challenging plan, he says. And he says that these incidents really highlight the need for change, although it doesn't really get at what the FAA will do in the immediate. The FAA does say, though, that they will be replacing these telecommunication lines that essentially run this new air traffic control facility, which is actually in Philadelphia, off of the old facility in Long Island. So it's copper wire. They're going to replace it with fiber optic cable and do this nationwide, but they need to do it at Newark first.
I gotcha. Well, look, and you interviewed the United CEO who was giving credit to Secretary Duffy for taking aggressive action. But you're right, there's still that question of what about in the near term? It's scary stuff, what's happening.
Yeah, and it only plays into the hand that United Airlines wants here. They want to limit the number of flights, the FAA to limit the number of flights going in and out of Newark. This is a huge hub for United Airlines. They'd be preemptively canceling about 70 flights each day. And the totality here for passengers, let's not forget about the daily toll, about 1,000 flights in total have been canceled out of Newark since this ATC meltdown last week bled into this week. Staffing shortages have been key, and 5 controllers took trauma leave there.
And hundreds of flights have been delayed.
That's right.
A big time, very important. Pete Muntean, as usual. Thank you very, very much. Right now, I want to bring in CNN transportation analyst Mary Schiavo. Mary, thanks for coming in. How concerning is it that there was yet another outage?
Well, it's very, very concerning because remember, now we have had multiple ones, as Pete mentioned, November 6th, April 28th, now this, plus likely others that we haven't learned about. And so every time we have this recurring, what it does is the risk of this happening. And every time it happens, you pose a risk to the flight and to the people over whom they are flying multiplies. So now this risk, which the FAA had in prior reports said, oh, it's not a real hazard, it's not blinking red, we can manage it, etc. Because it keeps happening, this is really a very critical hazard risk, because the way you mitigate this situation is if when you have, you've lost communication or you have aircraft that can be on collision courses, the tower can intervene, the controllers can intervene, or you're left with literally pilots seeing and avoiding. And the FAA had made a comment, well, they've got collision avoidance systems. Only if all the airplanes that are in the collision path have that system. They must communicate with each other for it to work. Because this keeps happening, this is really a very serious hazard. And while Secretary Duffy said they will put as many resources as they can to it, the problem again stems from the fact that last July 28th, they put this mishmash of a control system, part in New York, part in Philadelphia, but to control Newark, and no one has eyes on the situation if the radar and the radio communications go down. Pete said it right.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous situation. Mary Schiavo, thank you very, very much.
We're learning of another outage affecting flights around Newark Liberty International Airport. A source tells CNN that air traffic controllers lost radar for about 90 seconds early this morning. Another source says they also lost radio communication. One controller was directing a FedEx flight when her radar screen went dark. Listen to this.
FedEx 1989, I hand you off here. Our scopes just went black again. If you care about this, contact your airline and try to get some pressure for them to fix this stuff.
Sorry to hear about that. FedEx 1989 switching. Good luck, guys.
The plane continued on to Boston, where it was able to land safely. The incident, though, is reminiscent of what happened last week when controllers lost contact with planes they were supposed to be monitoring. The outage led to staffing shortages after at least 5 employees took trauma leave. Since then, there's been a flood of flight delays and cancellations, which are still happening. CNN aviation analyst and former NTSB managing director Peter Goals joins us now live to discuss. Peter, thanks so much for being with us. What is it like for air traffic controllers to lose radar and radio communications as flights are trying to land and take off?
Well, it's absolutely your worst nightmare for us. I mean, as a controller, you have tremendous responsibility to keep planes separated, to keep them on their tracks to land or to take off, and to suddenly have it go black and not be able to communicate to the pilots is just the worst. And I can understand why the 5 controllers took some annual leave and some mental health leave to recover. It's frightening.
What does it mean that this would happen 2 times in 2 weeks? I mean, you would imagine that it would be addressed, or at least they would attempt to address it the first time.
Well, I think there's 2 things going on here. One is they don't really know what's caused these outages. They think it might be a problem with copper wiring, might be a problem with a conduit that has water seeping in. They simply don't know yet. And so they're going to have to develop backup strategies until they discover exactly what caused this. But the reality is, Boris, Newark's going to be in hot water for the foreseeable future. There's simply too many flights being squeezed into too little time frame, and they have 1 runway out.
Wow. So the Department of Transportation has announced that they're going to build a brand new air traffic control system by 2028 that includes all new hardware and software. There is some concern that that timeline is simply unrealistic. I wonder what you think.
has had challenges implementing complex programs in a timely fashion. I mean, yesterday's performance by the secretary was outstanding. I mean, he had every stakeholder imaginable singing from the same page. Whether they can get this program implemented is another question. And of course, the most significant challenge will be, will the Congress appropriate the $12 billion that he's put the price tag on up front? If they don't, then we're going to have problems with delivery and timing.
I do wonder what got the United States to this point, because the Secretary Sean Duffy, said that the system has been obsolete for something like 50 years.
Well, it has been obsolete for 50 years. You know, if you look, there was an accident in 2006 in Lexington, Kentucky, in which a aircraft took off on a wrong runway early in the morning. And there were questions raised about were there enough controllers in the tower to handle the situation. Back then junior Senator Patty Murray, who was now ranking member of her committee, demanded that more controllers be hired. She identified the shortages and said, we've got to address this. And the FAA promised to do that. They failed. They couldn't do it. So, I mean, this is a very vexing problem. And, you know, you admire the secretary for tackling it. He's being candid about it. He's put the right price tag on it. The question is, will he get the support and the time to implement it?
Peter Goals, very much appreciate your perspective on this. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I just want to play a couple of news reels for you for the evening. It's 11:44 my time, and I'm getting sleepy. But I'm gonna do some more this weekend, y'all. It's a lot going on. This is just surface conversation. This is surface conversation. This is gonna be an interesting year. I'll say that much. So I just say, get your popcorn, stay out of it. Get your popcorn, stay out of it, and ride this out and watch these folks pop off. So with that being said, y'all, thank y'all for joining me this evening. I am going to sleep. I feel it coming on me. And then I'll be back out hopefully this weekend. So, all right, y'all. And also to close up, make sure, one, you go check out the Goshen Project. If you haven't, look on my page. I'll put a link in for the Goshen Project. And then also, we have the next event, the Savannah. We have another conference coming. The conference will be the end of June. I'll say it's going to be June 27th. I played the video at the beginning of the actual live itself. So go check that out. Go to Israel Justice Foundation to purchase the tickets. I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow, hopefully. So I am going to talk about it. So, all right, family. Well, thank y'all so much for joining me. I will see y'all this weekend. All right. Have a blessed Shabbat.
All different type of information every week. Let me speak. If you subscribe, we're going deep. Love talk.